What is up, guys? SamuraiRevolution here, and the time has come. Age of Empires 4 and its gameplay trailer has finally been released. So we're going to talk about it and discuss some of the points of the community. We're going to go through the trailer and talk about specific points in the trailer. Just do a really in-depth analysis. So let's jump into this. So immediately before we even really get into anything, you can see here with the mountains and the terrain. So you can see how the terrain's laid out. You can have different elements of height and stuff. And you can really see it here on the side of this mountain. And later in the trailer, you can see the hills and not huge mountains, but taller parts of terrain than what has previously been in AoE. So that's something to look out for as we get into this. So you can kind of see here too, more with the terrain. You got some really cool bodies of water here, rivers, some bridges, and generally it looks like they're going into a scenario or like campaign-like battle here. So here we go, jumping straight into this town. So this is the English faction. We have two factions stated so far, the English and the Mongols. And so this is a pretty cool landscape here. So there's a lot of different buildings that we can recognize from previous games. So you obviously have the farm over here. It looks like kind of like some wheat fields for the farms. You have a cathedral over here. Looks like a university here, a castle, and then maybe like a monastery. There's houses, two different types of houses actually, and you have a market behind over here. And then maybe like a barracks and an arsenal and some stuff like that over here. Also later in the video, you'll see behind this building over here, there's something that comes up under construction, so it's kind of neat to see that happen. But this is definitely a scenario or campaign-like layout because of the trails of the roads and stuff. That's from Age of Empires 2. They would always do that. They would incorporate the trails and the roads in those campaign-like moments. So that's kind of what the layout is here. One more thing additionally with these walls. They seem to be, so some people were saying they could have been curved. I think they're straight still. I think they're still at that, like, you go straight and then you connect at a point and you go straight and connect at a point. But it is interesting because there are towers between sections of the walls here. So you can see towers all around here. So I'm not sure if that's like an addition on top of the wall. You can build like a watchtower or something, or if this is a campaign only kind of idea. With Age of Empires 3, I'll post a picture of it. They had similar walls in terms of the content of it, but you couldn't walk on top of them like you could here. But you couldn't really build those in-game regularly. So we'll have to see how that looks. But it looks like building on top, or having people on top of these walls is going to be something that can happen. We'll talk about that as it goes on here. But just kind of analyzing the landscape so far. And so there you could see the hill, which we're looking at the top of it right now. But very big hill landscape. Somewhat of a mountain here, and even the background, look at those mountains in the background. Some deer on the hills, and here as well as talking about, you can see guys walking around the top. They're kind of on guard here, and it looks like units will be able to go on top here. Later in the video, they actually have them firing from the top. So it looks like this will be a really cool feature. I enjoy this as kind of adding an extra depth. It was always kind of funny how people could just shoot through walls. You could shoot over walls with arrows, but shooting through is kind of funny. So this is, I think, going to be a really good feature. And then additionally, we're going to see a siege tower in here as well to add on to it. So we got some of the clan leaders for the Mongols. So here are the Mongols. One of the other civilizations that they said so far, we only have the Mongols in English. And really cool layout here. I love the unique vibes that we have here with these specific soldiers and very unique layout. Here are the siege towers I was kind of talking about. So with these, I think you would assume that the upper level of the castle is playable, and that these are going to play a big factor here to help siege it down. And additionally, there's going to be some videos I'm going to link in the description. There's an interview at the event that this was held, where he talks about how unique the civilizations are going to be. So he talks about how the English are going to be more of a pickup, easy civilization to play, more your traditional Age of Empires feel in terms of a civilization. And the Mongols are going to be way different. I wrote down kind of what he was saying. He said extremely unique, and that each of the civilizations are going to have, what he says, unique elements that make them just different in different ways, which is awesome. That's one of the things I think with this game I would love to have are very unique civs. That's one of my biggest complaints from AoE 2 is that the civs are not unique enough. A lot of them share the exact same units. Like the Aztecs and the English have like a couple units difference, which is ridiculous. But Age of Empires 3 does a really good job of that. But at the same time, you need to be careful that it's not too overwhelming. So I hope they do a good job balancing that. But I'm excited to see that and hear that. And that's one of my favorite parts about Age of Empires is when you play the civs, it should feel different and it feels like a different gameplay experience. So I think that's awesome. And as you can see here, we got some cavalry formations, some infantry formations. So I'm not sure if this is because of the scenario or the game, or if we're actually going to have big unit formations like this, almost like a Total War kind of style. So that'll be interesting to see. I think this is kind of like a intro clip of the battle, so I don't think that this is necessarily what it's going to look like in terms of gameplay, but we might have some different kind of unit formations. We'll see some of that a little bit later too. See a guy rallying the troops there. Also in the background here, you can see the Mongol town center and some of the different parts of the Mongol just civilization, different homes and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're played. He said they're a very unique civ in one of the interviews, so I'm looking forward to that. You see some more unit infantry over here with spears and in their own formation. And yeah, so we'll keep going here. All right, so there you could hear guy kind of yelling in an echo. And so I think that could be easy to kind of overlook as something that he put in. But in one of the interviews, he talks about how the units are going to be like responsive and they're going to be very unique in their character. So I think that that's kind of showing the voices from the characters. I'm not sure how that's going to look necessarily in terms of everyday gameplay, but they're going to be more unique in the aspect of it's not just going to be like, hey, maybe they might be yelling at you and commands kind of stuff. I think the only game I can really, like, I've played personally is, like, in Total War games, they kind of respond with different dialogue, so maybe that's what they're kind of going on about. But I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I think it's a cool addition. Gives the game a little bit more depth. Additionally, while we're here, we can see a bunch of other elements. So we have, right here with the archers, or crossbowmen, I can't exactly tell. Probably archers because it's English, probably longbowmen. You have these spikes of sticks. So this is obviously like a deployment of some sort. I'm not sure if this is an in-game like multiplayer feature. This is obviously definitely a campaign fortification. And obviously that would kind of stop any any cavalry charges. And getting into that would protect your archers from that. So that'd be interesting to see if that's something that you can deploy, or if that's just a campaign feature, kind of adding on top of the formations and the battle formations and stuff like that. Additionally, over here, we do have the trebuchets. I think it's hilarious that there's some people pointing out how there's no one manning these, that these are just firing on their own. I think that actually is really funny how even like today, like it's 2019 and people still don't put little figures or something there to have it load and everything like that. Which is funny. I think that's like in Age of Empires 3, at least you had cannons with some people loading it. So I think they could easily do something like that, but that could be kind of neat. But yeah, so charging down the hill. And the last thing, I'll get on with it, but the last thing here is you'll see that units change speeds. So you have people on top walking around, kind of patrolling the area, and then you have units as these guys they were storming in with sprinting, going to the gate, and these guys are storming down the hill with speeds. So I'm not sure if maybe there'll be a speed mechanic. That could be interesting as well. But so far, I think that you can obviously tell there's some sort of speed difference. Maybe it's just a campaign kind of cursor before the battle starts, or rushing their guys into position like a trailer animation kind of thing. But we'll see. We'll see once the game gets out. So that's something to note too. All right, so here we get some of the battle perspectives. Here are the guys, they are longbowmen up top here, and you can see they're firing from the wall. So over the wall, it's got some interesting kind of layout there. Not too many guys up here. There's, only like 10 or so. But you can see that they have a nice layout. And then here is the siege tower is approaching, so I think it's safe to say that there's going to be some sort of interaction there between those two guys. With the guys up top and that'll have to be battles that could be played, and then just getting into grit combat here. So, and then once again, there's that mountain up top. All right, so really cool kind of battle scene here. Tons of cavalry and infantry charging in. It's going to be an interesting note here. I'll show you in a second. So this tower, when this tower breaks... Ooh, almost got it. When this tower breaks, it's only the tower that collapses. So that's not actually a part of the wall. It's a separate part of the wall. So I'm sure it's kind of something you add on to the wall, which is interesting. And then, yeah, you can see some of the battle formations here with the sticks again, and then tons of chaos going on. And roughly that's it in terms of just kind of like walking through the trailer. There's a lot of things I want to talk about specifically here. So time period, obviously, is medieval. In one of the interviews, he was saying how it's going to go up to the Renaissance time period. So like 1300s, maybe 1400s if we're going that late. So not too surprising there. I think they played it safe with this. I think that obviously Age of Empires 2 is most popular in terms of the game, and I think the time period has a lot to do with that. I think that just rock, paper, scissors mechanics works extremely well with this time period, and I think they're playing it a little safe. They probably could have done a World War I or World War II, or like even that far out. But I don't think they wanted to do anything crazy like that with such a release with such high expectations and high demand. So I think they're playing it safe there. I think it's a good call. I think that will work pretty well. So time period, that's that. Graphics, there are some people complaining about how the graphics are cartoony, which I can understand. I think it's hard to please everyone. It's impossible to please everyone these days. With the Age of Empires audience specifically, I think it's increasingly difficult because it seems like anything that you add someone is upset with it, which is, I think it's kind of unfortunate because it destroys any lack of progress for development of the game, which is hard. In terms of like these graphics, I think they're going with what's currently been popular. So in terms of obviously they did Age of Empires Online, had some very vibrant graphics, good colors. Civilization 6 had some pretty, I don't want to say cartoony, but more art like stuff like that, art and stuff. Even like Fortnite, extremely popular, but very vibrant, open, more inviting for anyone to really come in and play it. So I'm not too surprised by that. I don't know if it necessarily be my first pick, but I don't mind it at all. I think the art looks really cool, and I think as long as they just do the best they can with this, I think I can run with it for sure. I do like the water and the scenery. I think it looks really good. It's just gonna be interesting to see how these units look up close and stuff like that. But overall, I'm decently pleased with it. I know some people could be upset, but I think they're playing it safe with kind of what's going on in terms of other games and stuff like that. Talked about the civilizations a little bit, looking forward to those and the uniqueness of it. No one's really talking about the sound. I thought the sound in this was awesome. I'm really excited for the characters, that they're going to be unique in terms of dialogue. And I thought the music was awesome. So I think that's something that could be overlooked a little bit. There's only so many features in an RTS game, and sound's always enjoyable, so I think that's cool. Trying to think of other stuff we got here. Talked about the buildings. Probably get more in-depth description of those later and what that can look like. See if there's anything else. I think that's all I got. The only other thing, is in this interview, he talked about how the AI is going to be different in terms of it might just turtle and attack, and like be different in terms of defending and attacking. And he said that maybe you'll have to go attack it. So that could be interesting. I don't play a lot of single player. I know a lot of people do play single player, so maybe depending, I'm not sure of what Civ or just kind of what the AI chooses to do in the game, it could be different. So that could be neat. Maybe if you had like a different leader of the Civ, then you would do a different strategy or something. I don't know. But that's something to kind of think about if you do a lot of single player. And the last thing here I got, which I just kind of looked, is it looks like this is, that looks like a gunpowder kind of explosion. Yeah. On this here. So we definitely got some, oh, what was that? Definitely got some sort of, oh, there's flaming arrows. Okay. The flaming arrows. Maybe it could have been gunpowder. Just kind of see how far forward time period it would go. But yeah, so up to Renaissance period. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna do more Let's Talk videos as we get more information. Overall, I'm very excited for this. I know some people are split, but I think it's a good step in the right direction. And whatever they're doing, I just hope that they develop it thoroughly. And it seems like the developers are extremely passionate about that. In terms of keeping this game alive and authentic to history and stuff like that, which is really good to hear nowadays. So I'll link all the 2 other videos in the description. I'll show you right here, actually. So first one is a interview here on IGN. I'll link that below. It's a 4-minute interview, get some good behind-the-scenes stuff. And speaking of behind-the-scenes, Age of Empires posted their own behind-the-scenes video on the development of the game and what they're doing with that. So hope you keep you guys up to date on this. I'm not going to be the guy who's like, as soon as something comes out, I'm going to post a video. I'm going to let it marinate for a little bit and think about it and let my thoughts develop and enjoy it. This is a fun time to be an Age of Empires fan. I think there's a lot going on, especially with the DE. Age of Empires 2 came out. They talked about the DE of Age of Empires 3 is in development right now. And Age of Empires 4 is on the way too. So looking forward to all this. Let me know your guys' thoughts as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.